Are you ready for a new project? We are starting on a Photoshop project today. So of course the first thing we need to do is copy some files, and I thought I'd let you start copying and then I will talk about what it is we are doing. So go ahead and double click on Student Files Alias and you see the Schlager folder. Go ahead and double click on Schlager and you see Files, Videos, Resources. Go ahead. Oh, wanted to mention too, this view really is the best way because that's the view that I'm working in. Your computer is reacting the same way as mine is. So if you're in this view right here, it seems to work really well. Double click on Files, Videos, Resources, which I happen to color purple. And you're next going to look for a folder that is colored orange that says Learning Photoshop. Double click on that. And I colored the last folder blue. So hopefully it's closed. If it's like this, go ahead and close it. And you're going to click once on the Memories project folder, drag it and drop it over Documents. Now this may take a little while just because I have added these videos that I am making. But while you are waiting for that to copy, I'll go ahead and show you what it is we're going to be doing. We are going to be making this project. Make it just a little smaller there. So what this resembles is the cover of a memory book. And specifically what we are going to be learning is how to organize artwork on layers in Photoshop, how to create, view, hide, and select our layers. And we're going to learn what some of these icons mean in the layer palette. We're going to rearrange layers to change the stacking order of the artwork. We're going to add a lot of new layers. We're going to apply blending modes to these layers. We'll learn how to link some layers together and resize them simultaneously. We will apply a gradient to two different layers. And we are finally going to add text and apply some layer effects to these text layers. Couple other things, if you run into any problems, Command Z will undo the last thing that you have done, and make sure you save often, which is Command S. So let's get going on this. Hopefully your files are completed, are completely copied onto your computer now, and you can go ahead and just close this window. Alright, so like I said, we are using Photoshop, so the first thing we're going to do is go down and launch Photoshop. It is a blue square icon, and it does say PS. So here we go, we've got the Photoshop interface, but there's a few things that we need to do. So I'm first going to have you go up to Photoshop, Preferences, and we are going to work on changing the interface just a bit. So let's go to Photoshop, Preferences, Interface, and let that go. And what I need you to do is click off on these three areas that are clicked on. So there should be nothing clicked on the left-hand side under Options. So go ahead and change yours to reflect what you're seeing here, and just say OK. One other thing, to make sure that we all have the same palettes and the same icons, mostly the same palettes, we're going to go Window, Workspace, and can you first click on Essentials, which says Default. One more thing though, I'm going to have you go to Window, Workspace, and Reset Essentials. Then I'm sure that yours is reacting the same way as mine. Perfect. One other little adjustment we need to make is to change some palettes, but first of all I am going to show you how to adjust your window because you are working on this independently perhaps, and real estate is important. So here on the bottom, there's no reason why it can't stretch the height, the entire height, but perhaps you need to change the width, and you can grab the top. We can also size it that way. So something like that ought to work fine, but I did just want to show you how you can slide that corner and you can adjust it. Now another thing, on this project we use the Swatches palette a lot, and we use the layers palette a lot. So let's go ahead and first grab our Swatches palette, and you can do what we call tear away. So I'm going to go ahead and tear that away, and we've got the layer palette, and we can tear that away. Now, just to show you what might happen, it might pop right back into the palettes on the side there, so that could possibly happen to you. You can either access it right here where it says Swatches, or you can always go Window, Swatches. That brings it back open, and also Layers, Swatches, if for some reason the layers go away. So now you have a Layers palette, and you do have your Swatches palette. Now another suggestion you might want to do is move the swatches on the top. And we don't need the properties. I'm going to move swatches on the top because the thing is with the layer palette, it's going to grow, and it's got the same kind of interface as the window. You're maybe going to need to expand it, and it's a little easier if the swatches is on the top and the layers on the bottom, because it gives the layers a little bit more room. So now we are set to go. We've got everything pretty well set up. If you did want to take a look at that finished document, it is in your computer. However, you should have a printout that I made for you. All right, we're going to go ahead and open a document that is partially built. It's partially built, but we're going to add some components to it. So a couple ways to do this. We can go File, Open, or there is a keyboard shortcut that is Command O. Either way, open. Click on Documents in your sidebar if you are not already there, and go ahead and scroll down to Memories Project. It's a little ways down since it starts with an M, and I did color it blue. Double click on that, and we are looking for a document that says 01 Start Layered Doc.psd. Everything else looks good. We're going to go ahead and open. So here is our document. And there are a few things I want to explain. Let's take a look at the layers. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers, started with spotted, ending with apple. But this placement layer here is one I wanted to talk about. Right next to it, you see a little padlock. Don't unlock this until I tell you to. What this is those small shaded areas that are going to show you where to place your apple and your horseshoe, and also the picture of Brianna, little girl we're going to put in there, because that will be deleted for a while. You just want it there as a guide for placement. So that's why it has a little padlock next to it. Now you see an eye next to it. I can click on and off the apple. I can click on and off the note, but here's a trick that I like. You can drag all the way down and turn them all off. You can drag all the way down and turn them all on. For example, we're going to work on all just one layer, so that would be one way to just turn that one layer on. Also really important, there is what I call a Flyout menu. Click on it, and here is where you can make a new layer. We do that often, so just wanted to be aware that that is where that small icon is that is sometimes hard to see. Let's go ahead and save this right off the bat. So we're going to go File, Save As, because I do want to aim for my sidebar. We are in the Memories Project folder, which is going to be fine, but we're going to rename it. So go ahead and select the 01 Start Layered Doc.psd. And what we are going to name it, and I'm going to just use a pretend name, but you're going to put yours, Memories, and first initial, underscore, last name. Now, I may have a Smith or two, but I know I don't have 140 Smith. So make sure that you name it your first initial and your last name. So again, Memories, first initial, underscore if you can handle that, but a space is fine. And we do need the .psd on the end. Everything else looks good. So let's say save. We are doing great here. We're going to go ahead and add a picture at this point. So we're going to go to File, Open, or the keyboard shortcut is Command O. Click on that. And what we are aiming for is a file that is named briannahorse.psd. And go ahead and click Open. There's little Brianna right there. I'm going to go ahead and close these because I don't need those. I'm just simply working with those two palettes. All right, you notice the layers now says background, and you can see a little picture of this girl on the horse. When I click over here, you see the layers from our original document that we saved as memories. So I just want you to be aware of that. We need to go to something called the Move tool to move this picture. But the first thing I'm going to have you do is click on it because we need to control where this picture goes. So I'm going to have you click on Crinkle. Again, you should be in this document here. I'm going to have you click on the Crinkle layer. Now why I'm having you do this is because when we add Brianna, she's going to go on top of Crinkle. But I mentioned the Move tool. We need to be in the Move tool. The keyboard shortcut for the Move tool happens to be V. Great. Click on that tool. All you're going to do here is click on Brianna. You can see we're in that layer. And you're going to hold down with your mouse and drag and drop Brianna right over our document. Good and not so good. Of course, on purpose, I have Brianna out of stacking order so we can learn how to put her back in the right place. And another thing is it's too big. The picture's too big. And also we don't want that white box around her picture. So we're going to go ahead and fix some things here. We'll first remove the white box that is around her picture. Let's go ahead and turn off all the layers. Remember I showed you slide all the way down, click on Brianna. Or you can do it the other way and click, 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 but I find the express way better. Either way, I would like to only see the Brianna picture. By the way, we can go back over here to Brianna while I'm thinking of it. So we're in the Brianna layer, and you can just hit that red dot and dismiss that picture because Photoshop actually makes a copy of it, so we no longer need that picture. Wonderful. Now we need to use something called an eraser tool. Now there are 3 eraser tools. We actually want the one that says Magic Eraser Tool. Keyboard shortcut is E. Now to scroll through them, give this a try. Shift E, right? It cycles through them. Make sure you are in the Magic Eraser Tool. Now let me talk about tolerance. Up at the top here you see the word tolerance. Let me explain just a minute. If it was set at say 100, it would pick 100 pixels out. That's a large range of pixels. It's rather loose. But if you put something tighter, like 10, it would pick very similar pixels. So I'm going to double click on 32 up next to tolerance, and I'm going to type 10. Check out this tool. This tool is great. All you do is click on the white and it is gone. That was easy. Took care of that problem. We now need to push that layer up though above note. So let's go ahead and go to the Move tool, a V on your keyboard, click on layer 1 and just move it above note. She's now in the right place, and we can go ahead and turn these back on. But something else we need to do, we need to rename the layer to Brianna. So let's go ahead and double click on layer 1 and type Brianna. Now you have it selected still. Just click on the blue next to it and the Brianna blue highlight should go away. Now she is too big. Too big. Here's what we're going to do now. We're going to go to Edit, Free Transform. And do you notice that has a keyboard shortcut? It is Command T. That is an excellent one to remember. So go ahead and click on that or go Command T. Another important thing here. If we were to grab this and size it, wow, we got a problem there, don't we? Poor Brianna got really skinny, or believe me, it can go to the opposite way. We don't want to do either. The way that you avoid this problem is to hold Shift down and slide. Now another thing I'm going to show you is, remember I talked about a little shadow area? See it right above the picture? That's what you're aiming for. So I brought it just a little bit below. I've got my handles, I'm holding Shift, and I am dragging. Now I can now move it up, and it might need a little adjusting. Mine looks pretty good actually. Yours might need a little adjusting, no problem. Shift, size it again until you get it about that size. Wonderful. Now something interesting about Photoshop is, as long as those handles are there, those little handles there around Brianna, you can't do anything else. There's a couple ways to handle this. You can hit Return on your keyboard, and that finishes the transformation. We are going to now work on linking and resizing both the apple and the horseshoe together. So we need to select those two layers, and we've learned the layers are blue when they're selected. So let's go ahead and click on the top layer, which says apple. Look at your keyboard. Hold Shift on your keyboard on the far left, and click on horseshoe. They are now both selected. So that worked great. We can now go ahead and link them together. So remember I talked about this icon that's small. It's a little bit hard to see, but click on that, go down, and you see the word link layer, and let it go. Check that out. These layers are now stuck together. Now I wouldn't move them, or if you did, do a Command Z, because when we size these, I've got it pretty well set up where you can hit the guide easily. So again, Command T, or you're going to go Edit, Free Transform. Either one works. Hold Shift and hit either of the corners. It can be any of the four corners, but it needs to be the corners. Hold and drag up. There you go. Now the last thing you're going to do is hit Return on your keyboard, and that part's taken care of. Isn't that wonderful?